Welcome back. In the last segment of the program, I have with me Dr. Asif Javed. He is Associate Professor at Bahia University and an environmental scientist. Dr. Asif, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Shawat.
You just heard the conversation with my previous guest in the program. In light of that, how serious do you believe the problem of this climate change is in the world?
Climate change is basically change in the weather patterns or temperature, humidity, you can say all the climatic parameters. Let me little bit explain it to you. What is climate change basically? We have greenhouse effect. Due to greenhouse effect is something like it keeps our atmosphere livable. Otherwise the earth temperature would have been minus 18 degrees Celsius and life would have not been possible. This temperature is just because of the presence of greenhouse gases, so they are the life-giving blanket atmosphere composed of all these greenhouse gases. With industrial revolution, with the deforestation, what happened is the concentration of greenhouse gases increased, and obviously there is one relationship which is more powerful of any other relationship, is that we have more greenhouse gases, we have more temperature, we have increase in temperature, and we have seen the repercussions in the 21st century right now. We have more flooding, we have hurricanes, we have natural disaster have increased from time to time. So and who is the most affected? The largest burden will fall on the developing country or the nation who don't have resources to cope with the extreme events resulted from the increase in temperature, or we can say like due to global warming.
So Dr. Asif, what I understand from this conversation is that primarily it is the emission of gases that is the real evil, or playing the major role in that. So when we come to this specific problem, which countries are the major contributors of these emissions, and what are we doing about it? What is the world doing about it to control this emission?
Yes, there are two countries like China is the big emitter, followed by the United States. If the combined emissions from these both countries are more than 40% as compared to the rest of the world.
China and United States contributing collectively more than 40%.
More than 40% compared to the rest of the world. So they are emitting more, and we have seen the impact on developing world particularly. Like for example, if I can quote you the example of Pakistan. Pakistan has been consistently ranked as among the top 10th vulnerable country. Pakistan is vulnerable because we have a large coastline and we have a massive reserves of glaciers uphill in the Himalayas. And our more than 40% population directly depends upon the meltwater that is coming from these glaciers. So obviously when these glaciers will melt, those 40% people on the planet Earth will face the severe water shortages.
So the water shortages, as well as you said, the coastal lines that are
due to the
what are the risks for the coastal lines? Can you explain that?
I mean, see, with the rise of sea level, we have major city like Karachi is on the coastline.
Okay.
So when the sea level rise, obviously water will come on the surface, and also the sea water will intrude into the groundwater too. With the rise of sea level, why the sea level rise? Because there are two phenomena. One is land-based ice, and the second one is sea-based ice. When land-based ice melts, when it goes into the sea level rise dramatically. If the sea-based ice melts and it enters into the sea, it becomes a water. Still, ocean or sea expands a little bit, but mild increase in the sea level. And if you look at the Pakistan condition, we don't have any sea-based ice. All the ice we have is a land-based. So that's why Pakistan has been consistently ranked as a 7th or maybe its 5th vulnerable country that is likely to be affected by the effect of climate change.
Dr. Asif, while I was reading about this issue for preparing for this program, I heard a terminology, and that's called Kyoto Protocol, 1997. Yes. What was this Kyoto Protocol, and why was it significant for us?
Yes, Kyoto Protocol was very important. In 1977, the industrialized countries, they get together and they have signed the treaty that is called, in the beautiful city of Japan, Kyoto. They signed the treaty there. That's why this is called Kyoto Protocol. And Kyoto Protocol is all about the reduction of greenhouse gases emission. But there was certain problem. US actually did not sign the Kyoto Protocol, and Australia also didn't sign the Kyoto Protocol due to different reasons. They do have solid reasons. Actually, they have set some exaggerated targets. For example, in the Kyoto Protocol, they have divided the world into two parts: developed world and undeveloped world. So they have set the targets only for the developed world, where there is a room for development for the developing world, for example. And China was at that time, and now it comes under developing world, who is like contributing more than 20%. So US feel that this is something not good, or something like not acceptable at all, because high emitter has been exempted from the mandatory reductions. So the mandatory target setting or nature of that protocol actually compels the US to back up from that protocol, Kyoto Protocol. Pakistan was signatory since the beginning of that protocol.
Okay.
So that,
and I was also looking at a statement of Senator John Kerry. We call him the environment czar of United States, and he said that the lack of commitment by the government of United States in the past toward the Paris Accord is a major reason why we are quite much behind the timelines that are set by Paris Accord. Please tell us more about it.
exactly, because if US back out from the Kyoto and later on Paris Accord, like it was signed in 2016 in Paris, so world alone without US and Australia can't do anything, because as I mentioned that they are the big polluter of the world, or emitter of the greenhouse gases alone. So you can just count the time from 1977 to 2016, and in 2016 the US committed that they will sign the Paris Accord. US and China both, they agreed to sign. And when it comes to the force in 2017 2017, US again back out from the Paris Accord. Now in 2020, when Biden came, on the first day he announced that he will readmit the US into this agreement, and now in 2001 they are the part of the Paris Accord.
So we have wasted some time in
we have wasted a lot of time. We have wasted a lot of time, and that result we have seen now. You have seen the massive flooding. You have seen the poor is becoming poorer day by day, and so obviously it has long repercussions on the developing world.
At least twice in your conversation, you said that the targets set in Kyoto Protocol were exaggerated in nature.
But ambitious.
Were over ambitious in nature. So now we have this UN's target set for 2050. We call it net zero emission. Do you think is it a bit exaggerated target in nature?
It's again, I feel it's exaggerated. Net zero is very difficult to achieve, particularly in this short span of time. There are examples like carbon neutral cities in the world, particularly in the UK. UK have reduced their emissions a lot, but still, I believe it's like we need to set more realistic target. That's why US backed up from the Kyoto Protocol, just because of the hard nature of hard commitments by the legal bindings of the emissions reduction. Now, even in Paris Accord, there is no such target, like for example, but in Paris Accord, country has to basically reduce the emissions at their own level. There's not such condition that we have to reduce this much or this much or this much, something like that. So I feel that the target set in Paris Accord are a little bit more ambitious.
And we have perhaps as a global community not responded to the climate crisis as seriously as we have been in case of COVID-19, which is perhaps something more visible to us. Do you agree with that?
Obviously, climate change is a more serious issue, I believe personally, because it's more serious than COVID-19. Why I'm saying it's more serious than COVID-19? Because you never know what's happening around you. And people, I saw the people saying that nature is playing crazy. Actually, nature is not playing crazy. We have done this. And people know, like for example, if person living in Islamabad, person living in the hilly areas of, like in Pakistan, and he observed a massive flooding, he never know what is the reason of this flooding. And people are dying just because of drought. And we have million and million of environmental refugees, and they don't know the reason actually. The reason